Hello and welcome to Fine is a Four-Letter Word. My guest today is Christina Robinson Race. Welcome to
Thank
the
you. I'm
show,
excited to be here.
Christina. Excited to have you. Let's jump right in and go to the first question, which is, what were the beliefs and the values that you were raised with that contributed to you becoming who you've become?
Um, wow, this is a hard one. I was actually raised with a completely different set of beliefs and values than what I became. They definitely formed who I am. I was raised in a very right-wing evangelical Christian home where the everything was perfect on the outside and everything was horrible on the inside. I had a traumatic childhood, and that led me to know um, what I wanted to be as a person, the beliefs that I saw that I didn't agree with, how I felt things should be. It was a real struggle inside of my head, like, am I wrong? Is there something wrong here? And it also gave me purpose for what kind of mom I wanted to be, that I wanted to have a better relationship with my kids. And it's helped me see that, you know, everything doesn't have to be perfect. You can be authentic, and it's made me want to be my authentic self because I don't want to live in a world of hypocrisy.
Cool, cool. Can you move your microphone a little bit away? I'm getting a
Okay,
little bit of static,
there.
so I just wanted to.
Okay,
We're good. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We'll see how that.
okay.
That sounds way better. Okay. Cool. So that's interesting that you consciously chose to take. Did you take anything from that?
Um,
That was, or is it just if that's what we were doing there? I'm completely
it
doing the
was pretty
opposite.
much, I'm completely doing the opposite. My grandfather was one of the biggest influences on my life, and actually probably the biggest influence on my life. And he had a huge sense of family and loyalty, and he just loved being around family and everything. And that I knew I wanted to keep. That sense of family, the sense of tradition. I grew up in a household where they wanted to do, and they still do without us. All of their holidays are just tiny. They don't want to have anybody else in their bubble. And so I prefer to do everything big, like my grandfather. Like, I just want to, like, welcome everybody in. I want to do be nice to everybody. Everybody is my family. As soon as I meet them, I want to take care of them and help them. And I just have no walls, I guess, that I just choose to love people. But I think also a little bit. I'm not. I'm not religious. I um, I just am not the same degree that my parents were, but I do, it was my mom and my stepfather,
Mm-hmm.
but I do believe that I have a sense of, like, I think this is how Jesus actually would act, and I think this is how God would do things. And I don't see it as, like, I see it as love and hope and joy, not all of the doom and gloom of evangelicism. And so that's kind of what I took with me. Like, this is what I believe, and I want to pass this on to my kids. And grace. Oh, sorry. I was
One
just going to say grace has been a word that's in my head for my entire life, and that's what's been my driving factor. I have it on a stone on my desk, and that's just, it's always there.
I love that. At what point, I'm so curious, in your childhood or early adulthood, did you consciously say, I want
Um,
something different?
it was actually a really difficult, um, I knew I wanted something different. I grew up in a house with my mom and my stepfather. I didn't know my real father at the time, and he was he was very abusive, and she ignored it all and would go to bed for days. And then I was sexually abused by a neighbor, and I didn't tell her right away, but I did tell her when I was 15, and she looked at me and said she couldn't deal with it, and so we didn't. And right then I knew that that wasn't the mom I was going to be. I was going to have an open relationship. I got in trouble when I was 10. We were at a Burger King drive-through, and I still remember it to this day. I said, "That boy's hot." and I was grounded for that. And I never wanted my kids to feel that way because I couldn't talk to them, and especially couldn't talk to them
Mm.
after I told them something monumentally huge and traumatic for me, in addition to the abuse I was living with. And I always, my parents had lied, or my mom and my stepfather had lied about him being my real father until I was in my 20s. And she wrapped it up and
Oh my
she wrote
gosh.
it out on a piece of paper. This year I give you the truth, gave it to me, and as a Christmas gift wrapped up. And that's how I found out. But I had always known because they had always referred to this great sin, and it was always however old I was. And then I found some other things that had shown they lied. So I had grew up with real trust issues too. So I wanted my children to have this world where they trusted people and they could be themselves, even if they didn't agree with me. And so we had a thing in our household called immunity. And so if you came to me or my husband and you told us what really happened, if you did something or whatever, we could talk it through and make it a learning moment, then you were not grounded. But if I found out about it later, you would be in trouble. And I don't know that my kids were ever actually grounded for anything. And so they've always been open, almost too open. My oldest isn't as open, but my middle and my youngest will call me, I mean, from college and tell me everything about who they're dating and their problems that they have, and it's amazing. I love that.
That is so impressive that you were able to take your experience and turn it
Right.
around so much and create exactly
Yeah, it
what
was my
you
not to
wanted.
do list, basically. So, like, you see something being done and
Hmm.
you just decide that's not going to be me. Also, I had done a lot of studying and reading trying to heal myself from my trauma since it wasn't given to me. And I knew that trauma and abuse can either, um, it either makes you to continue the cycle or you choose to break the cycle. And I chose to break the cycle. That was not something I ever wanted my children to have to go through. And I also didn't want them to have to be somebody else for me. My mom goes through a periods where she just ghosts you and doesn't talk to you for months at a time because she's mad. And I recently, this week, put my foot down about that and said, I'm off this roller coaster. This is the last part I needed to break, and I'm off the roller coaster. I can't do this.
That's what you need to do. As hard as I can only imagine how hard that would be to do, it's what you have to do to
Yeah, and my
protect
children, I don't
yourself.
want them to see that as a model that it's okay to ghost your child, and to treat your child this way. I have a sibling that was raised to be her best friend. She was homeschooled all through life, and she always played us off of each other. And they are thick as thieves. They live next door to each other, and they prefer just for that to be their immediate family. She cannot
Mm.
everything that I do. All of my beliefs are somehow a personal rebuke of her, and it says that everything's about her. She's very much a narcissist, but it's about her. How much if I had pain, she will cry that she regrets what happened to me. Well, and how she handled it. Well, I was trying to talk about my pain, like and then or
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
I am not going to be a Republican, that doesn't mean that I hate you. And she's come into my house. My children will never forget. She came into my house when they were in middle school and she was visiting. And you know that song, Stacy's Mom? Like, I cannot sing, so I'm not going to. I don't
Yes,
want to freak anybody out. Okay,
I know the
that was on the
song.
radio, and my kids were singing on it to it because it's really catchy, right? And she
Yes, yes, it
proceeded
is.
to scream at me for, I don't know, an hour about how I was a horrible mom and my kids were going to hell. And I was allowing that by letting them and using that song as an example of my just complete lack of values and ability to be a mom. And they overheard that. And they have a very guarded relationship with her. And I'm glad they have a relationship because they
Mm.
should have a grandmother. And in all honesty, she's a much better grandmother than she has ever been a mom. And so um, she, like, I can't let them think that that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. What you
Mhm.
mentioned working on yourself and working through the trauma. What were some of the tools that you
I
used?
did a lot of therapy and I read a lot of books. I I read books on to teach myself everything, before I guess YouTube, and now it's like in YouTube something. But I really worked on that, and I surrounded myself with the kind of people that I wanted to be, and I wanted that energy. So I've been really, really grateful to have friends that are closer than my sibling is, to me, and so that has been a tremendous value to me is to be surrounded by this village of amazing women. And I've always been, I made sure I was surrounded by a village of amazing women, some men, but mainly women who would understand and who would know what I've gone through. And I've always been open about it. I don't hide it. I'm never going to hide my abuse and my traumatic childhood. I never hid it from my children, my husband, my friends. I'll stand on a stage and the Super Bowl and tell everybody, because that is me, and that's what made me me. And if you hide stuff like that, then you're just doing what I grew up with.
Exactly. Right.
Right.
What you resist
Right. Exactly.
persists. And when you can bring that darkness out into the open, then it
Right,
ceases to have
exactly.
power
And
over
so
you.
it doesn't. It made me resilient. It made me, more empathetic. I will cry. We saw Scream the new Scream with my daughter a couple weeks ago at college. I cried
No,
through
thank
part of
you.
Scream. I mean, I will cry through any movie. It's my youngest son's favorite thing to do is to watch TV with me or a movie and then check me 50 times to see if I'm crying because the slightest emotion will bring me like I'm like way too empathetic. And I've researched that, and that's I guess a normal thing of a traumatic childhood is that high level of empathy. So yeah, like I just embrace those things. I don't try to be shut out. And yeah, maybe I'll be a little too much oversharing, but I'd rather do that than ever try to be something I'm not or pretend that my life is going okay or fine when it's not fine.
Hmm.
I just can't do that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people can't do it. They can do it for a certain amount of
Right.
time and then it
Yeah.
catches up with them, right? So, right. So, okay.
Hmm.
So, when we talked before on our original call, we were talking about situations that you faced
Yes.
in your career. And so now I'm seeing more of a whole picture, knowing where you came from to how you've managed or what you're concerned
Right.
about in your career or
Right.
what you have been concerned about, because one of the things that you mentioned was
Right.
reputation is everything and how important that was to you. So tell me a little bit about how you've to
Right.
manage
Right.
your reputation
I think
as a professional.
doing what's often considered unprofessional, being human, being honest and truthful, not hiding myself. It was only until the last couple of years that I've actually let more of my, social feelings come into my political world, but that's because it's important for me to be surrounded by people, even professionally, that way. But also
Mm-hmm.
being an authentic person with my clients. I'm very honest. I'm open. If something goes wrong, I'm going to tell you what's wrong, and I'm going to help you solve it and tell you what we're going to do to make it better. I'm never going to say that everything's going to be okay. If I'm working, and I have worked previously at companies where the development wasn't there, or there were internal problems with departments and everything was failing and going wrong. And it's not me to be able to go to that client and pretend that it is. Because every job that I've gotten has been based on my reputation. They've known me from somewhere else and they've known my work since I was, 25. So I am not willing to risk that. And so it always leads to greater things. And so I can't compromise that. But it also, like LinkedIn, I'm very aware of what I share and what kinds of things I post because I want people to be able to get a reflection of who I really am. Because if it's a potential
Mm-hmm.
employer and they're looking at that, I want them to know that I'm a relationship person. I'm going to make these relationships with clients. I, believe in this and that, and want me for me. I don't want to form to what a company wants
Mm-hmm.
because then you are just saying you're fine and you never are.
It's it seems like it's changing
Hmm.
more now than it has ever before, that it's okay, and maybe this has to
Right.
do with pandemic, or maybe this was already coming and pandemic hastened its arrival, of bringing your
Right.
whole self to work, because you really cannot stuff a piece of you into a box while you're at work and then
Right.
take it out later. And
Right.
it's
It's
not
not healthy,
healthy.
and it's not going to help your business because you don't want people that don't share your values
Right.
working for you, or representing your product. And they're not going to be able to get along with your client base. And so I don't need you to buy into the product I'm selling as much as I need you to buy into me. I need you to trust me and to
Mm-hmm.
build that kind of long-term relationship. Because then when I come to you and I see something's not working, or I come with you with another product to buy, or you introduce me because you trust me to another person at another company or in another department, you're not going to do that. Even if it was the best product in the world, you are not going to recommend it and be a cheerleader and a champion for it if you don't like and trust the salesperson. Um, and I've been in situations where I've seen that happen, where clients are like, I don't trust you at all. Please, don't. I've been on call. I was on a company before where I had a supervisor. They would not let on a client call because that client was so turned off by that person's integrity. And it was the same product. It was just the integrity of that person.
Yeah. And it comes down to the fact that people want to do
Right.
business with other
Exactly.
people, humans
Yeah.
to humans. Let me see your
Right.
humanity. And that's what makes a connection. So, we talk a lot about how connected
Hmm.
everybody is in our world. We're all
Right.
connected on social media. You and I met through LinkedIn. We're connected, but we're not really
Right.
connected
Right.
at a heart level until we have conversations like this, until you
Right.
can share
Exactly.
your
And it makes you
humanity.
more approachable too. Like if everything was super just my product, my product, my product online, um, nobody would ever approach me. It'd be like, yep, that's all they are. That's that one person. They're not three-dimensional. They're not, more than that. That's not something I want to pick up their call and deal with, especially if I'm having a long day. But if I know that that person's going to be kind of energizing to talk to, that I'm going to like it's going to feed my day in a positive way, then I'm not going to ditch that call. I'm going to take it. And so it's allowed me, I mean, I have great relationships where, my previous places I've worked with coworkers and people above me. And it's really kind of helped drive that.
You just mentioned
Hmm.
about the energy. One of the things that we also talked about that I'm suspecting feeds your
Uh-huh.
energy level is your
Yes,
belief
it
about
is.
gratitude.
I think I told you this on our call earlier, but it's my form of meditation. It is when I wake up in the morning, and I look at my day and stuff. I'm grateful to be there. I'm grateful for this. But every night before I go to bed, I guess like once a lot of people would pray before they go to bed, I do a I'm grateful for these things in my life, kind of monologue in my head. And that keeps me centered. Like I am never, I think we talked about this too. I'm married to someone who doesn't have as bright of an outlook on life. And we were actually in marriage counseling for a while, and he told the therapist that the fact that I'm able to just be okay in every moment, and I'm happy and content in every moment, and that I always think that things are going to work out, really bothers him because he thought that that was like no grounding in reality. But in reality, I know that things can get a whole lot worse. And I am grateful for the life I have. I'm grateful that I gave my kids, this great education up to college, that I'm sending them to college, that they have this family that they can turn to. And I was even grateful for the pandemic because I had college kids and boarding high schools, and we all got to come home, and they were forced to spend
Mm.
5 months with me during a time when most of the time you don't get that time with your college kid. And so to me, that was the best thing of the pandemic, was just that I got to be and have those extra times. So I always see a positive to things. And it's not that I don't have the reality. I know that there's bad out there. I know. But I also think that we are so grateful. And I am so grateful. And we are so, just immensely um, I don't like the word blessed because I don't like it to seem like something's been, like handed down to you or whatever, because I know that I'm not any different, and I'm not any more deserving of the life that I have than anybody else.
It comes back down to really
Hmm.
making a choice, right? A choice about how you choose to
Right.
see life. When we look for things to be critical of or complain about, we will find them. If we look for things to be grateful for, we'll find
Exactly.
those too.
And
And it's so interesting about, well, I was going to say about your husband's viewpoint, because
right.
I've gotten that too. Like, you look at life through
Right.
rose-colored glasses. I see what's happening. I just choose to put a more
Right.
positive spin on it. And that's not negating when I feel angry or
Hmm.
sad or upset. At the same time, I'd rather live in a world where there is gratitude and
Right.
happiness and joy.
And that you're doing what you can. Like the world is, and I'm sure you as an empathetic person as well, the world can be deeply painful. Just reading the news it can be horribly painful. But I don't look at it as, oh my God, the world's ending. This is horrible. This horrible thing happened. What can I do? How can I contribute to this? What can I do to make it better? Can
Yes.
I, post encouraging things online? Can I volunteer my time here? Can I donate to this cause? Penzi Spices did a thing the other recently where they held Republicans are racist sale and pissed off half of their clientele. And I turned around that night and ordered $158 worth of spices because I felt that's something I could do. They've been really big on Black Lives Matters, which is a personal thing for me in my life. And so I bought a bunch of spices from them that day. It doesn't mean that I don't respect Republicans, that I don't work with Republicans. I love them, but I'm also going to spend my money where my heart and my conscience is.
I do love Penzi Spices. However,
Uh-huh.
that campaign
Did it?
bothered me. It did, because I felt like it was promoting the
Right.
thing that they don't stand for, like promoting
Right.
division, which is not normally what they stand for. And so but that particular campaign stood out to me because I was like, oh, I don't like it. I do
Right.
like what they stand
To
for
me, that
overall.
was my take on that was we need a couple more companies standing up and saying what people are thinking now. And it's not all Republicans are racist. My biological father is a Republican, and his family, my aunt and people are, and my other side, like I have a lot of family that are Republican, but they are good people. Um, but it's bringing out the worst, like the brand. I think Republican has been tarnished really badly in the world right now, and so I took that as somebody's got to kind of say to kind of counteract the people melting down over candy changing styles and stuff like that. Like a company's got to stand up and say enough and to put their values. And it wasn't even as much as what they were saying, but they were willing to risk customers for what they believed. And so that kind of resonated with me that they were, willing to put it all out there.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
respect companies that do that, that take a stand. And I mean, that
Right.
from a marketing background, which is where I come from, that's
Hmm.
great marketing, because you're clearly stating these are the people I want to work with, and these are the people you're
Right.
attracting and repelling, attracting the ones you want, repelling the ones you don't want, and
Right.
that's good
Exactly.
marketing.
And so, and I have a family side that we've talked to about my mom, I mean, she'll go and, go to, Target. I don't know how many times she's been to Target and tell them she's never shopping there again because of whatever thing they've done. But then she goes back to it. So, I mean, and you don't have to go there in person and tell Target manager that you're never going to shop there again. They don't care. So
They
like
don't.
and so it's not, I believe in the whole cancel culture either. I don't necessarily like, there are some companies, like I still eat Chick-fil-A sometimes, never eat their gluten-free bun, but I do eat Chick-fil-A, you know what I mean? So, I mean, there are things that I do, but it's where you put most of your attention. So, anyway, sorry to get off on that tangent.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because you just said it is about bringing it back to, it's about where you
and,
put your
and doing something.
attention.
I think that changes your outlook on life too. When you're actually doing, you're proactively. I volunteered for a campaign in Tennessee a couple of years ago for Congress, and because the person that was running and who eventually won was really bothered me, and so I volunteered for a campaign, and I was getting out there doing something. So even as much in 2018 as I didn't agree with the political environment, I was happy because I was doing something to try to change it. So, I mean, that didn't change it. He didn't win, but he did go on then to start a whole social media and, thing of highlighting what goes on in Tennessee to other people. So it branched out from there. So, and so doing something. If you see a friend who's down, I love sending emails, or there's an app you can send, little gifts to or from. So sending something to make people feel better, and taking control of your life. And I really think that that is the difference between people who look at the world negatively and people who look at it positively. Is do you feel in control, and how do you get that control?
Yes, that's such a great point because control is often looked at as
Right.
something negative. Like they're controlling me,
Right.
like I don't know who they
Yes.
are, but Um, and your point about taking action, whatever action you can take, because so many people will sit on the
Right.
couch screaming at the TV and walking around being angry all the time, which is not good for your physical, mental,
Right.
psychological health in any way. But what are you doing
Exactly.
about it? And even if it is something as, let's say, as small, but I don't want to make small
Right.
is not insignificant. Something as small as reaching out to a friend that came through your mind and saying, "Hey, everything good? I haven't heard from you in a while.
Right.
Hope you're okay. I'm here for you." Like that could be an enormous gesture to the person who's receiving it, and it's just a small, I'm using air
Right.
quotes,
Yeah.
small thing.
And it is, and it's letting things go easily too. I don't take things really
Mm.
personally, and I let them go. I have a candle that I actually sent to a client too, on my desk, but it is my last fuck. Oh, look, it's on fire. Um, and so, um,
Oh my God, I
oh, this thing was
love
hard to
that.
get. It was sold out on. It was an Instagram thing, and I saw it, and then it was sold out on Etsy forever. But I finally got a couple, so I sent one to a client. And when I'm having a day and I just want to like scream, I'll light that, and just lighting that candle, it's like letting myself go. Like, there's my last fuck. I don't care, and move on. Like, I'm not gonna hold something forever. I will. You could totally screw me over yesterday, and I'm gonna be weary of you, but I don't have time to have any kind of grudges against you, because that's going to put a lot of negative in my life that I don't need.
Yeah, life is too short. I love that candle. Now I gotta go find it. Cause my coaching program and my program that I bring into companies
Right.
is called Fuck Being Fine. So it
Yeah.
ties in really
Yeah, it's
well. Like I got nothing
exactly.
else
And
to
it's
give here.
just and it's so therapeutic to light it, and that can be like your official letting go. Like people will do those things where they write things down and burn them.
Yes.
This is kind of like that, but a lot easier. Yep.
Ceremonial and powerful because
Yep.
it's that gesture of again, it comes back to
Hmm.
taking action. It's a small action. You're lighting a candle and it's
Right,
so
right. And
symbolic.
I don't pretend to think that I like drive my entire, future, and like everything I do. But I believe, like, I rewatched The Secret this weekend, which I love, because, and it is, the more you put out and that's positive, the more you're going to get back to you that is positive. And it's just a giant like hamster wheel. Like, it just keeps growing and growing, going and going. And so that's how I can control and make my life positive, by putting out positive. And then it protects me from seeing so much negative. If I don't have time
Hmm.
for that, and I don't, I also probably I feel like I can help everything in a little way, and in big ways.
Hmm.
I volunteered as a foster advocate, a CASA, for years, and I ended up getting guardianship recently of the first case I had, because he needed me, and he needed what we could provide as guardians. And so those things, like, I don't believe that, and holding myself back, you know what I mean? Like, being reserved as far as emotions and feelings. I don't have time to censor that, and play the game of how much am I doing too much? I don't want to like show too much of myself or whatever. Like, you either really like me or you really don't like me, and this is what you're getting.
I love that you are so open and such a big personality that
Right, right,
in a good way. I'm not saying that in any negative way. I'm saying, and it maybe not big personality. It's being so open
right.
with who you are and putting it out there in a
Right.
big
Yeah,
way.
and I think that's something that
Yeah.
my husband and I were talking to my 22-year-old about this week. I really wish that we had been able to be that aware of what we know in our 40s. Like, if we could just get, I mean, because I think that I see so many of my female friends that we're all in the same position in life. Like some of them have young kids now, even. So it's not like where you are in motherhood or where you are in your career, that stay-at-home moms to professional women. But you just get to this point where you realize that you're the only person you can be, and to stop trying to be somebody else and stop trying to please people, because we're not, we're the center of our own movie. And so we're very much about us, but other people just don't care. They don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, they care, but they're not as
Right.
hyper focused on you as you seem to think they are.
They care,
Right.
but not nearly
Right.
as much as you think they do. And that comes with, I believe that really only comes with age and experience of living life and growing
Right.
into
Yeah, I
yourself.
absolutely agree. And I see a lot of people who don't reach that in their lifetime. And those are the ones who become bitter
Yeah.
and sad and I don't know, hostile. Like you can tell people just by like their how they stand and how
Yeah.
they talk to people. I try to like every time I get on a flight, which I fly a lot, I try to compliment the flight attendant on something. Like there's always something,
Mm-hmm.
nail polish color, a guy's haircut, anything like that, because I know that they have a really hard job. And I want to do something from right off the bat to like make this flight better for them. So maybe they can take that with them the whole time. It's my trade show approach. As people walk by, you can find something genuine. Don't do it as a dumb bullshit people because they'll see it, but find something genuine to compliment
Sure.
people about. And that's going to bring them in and have them talking to you, and bring you the success in life too, professionally.
That comes all full circle on what we've been talking about of being authentic and
Yeah.
sharing
Yeah.
gratitude.
I am so, so grateful for the life that I have. It's not what I envisioned. Um, I was originally, I started in my industry because I took my son to preschool or to daycare for the first time and decided I could not do that again. That was way too hard on me. I wanted to, be home with him all the time as my first child. And then I happened into a position that became, a full-time position, and like it was a pioneer in the remote working back then. I keep telling people I'm so grateful that everybody else caught up with me during the pandemic for where I am in my life,
Mm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I was able to grow that as a full career. And I kept up with my husband's career, even though I was also juggling being a mom and having a career and doing all the things. And I've done my fair share of bitching about doing all the things, but I am incredibly grateful that I've had that opportunity.
Mm. Well, I have so much enjoyed talking
Uh-huh.
to you. Before we go, tell me your hype song because you seem pretty high energy
Yes.
to start with. But when you need an extra boost,
My
what's
song
the
is
song you go to?
Whatever It Takes by Imagine Dragons. And that will give you all of the energy, and the lyrics are like it's in the title, whatever it takes, and not in a bad way, not in a I'm going to stomp all over people to get to the top, but like I'm going to give 100% of myself, no matter how much I have to give to get where I want to go, personally and professionally.
Uh, Awesome. I will put a link to that
Thank
song
you.
in the show notes. And if people have enjoyed our conversation and they want to find
Uh-huh.
out more, want to connect with you, where's the
I'm
best
on
place
LinkedIn
to do that?
and I'm on Facebook. So either one of those, you can reach out to me. And I'm one of the, I think, only Christina Robinson races out there. So it's not like I have a name that everybody's going to have. And so you can do that. I can also give you my Gmail account because it's not a hidden thing. And I have no problem with people reaching out, but it's chrisrace@gmail.com. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fantastic. We'll put
Okay,
a
great.
link to that as well in the show notes. All the good
Thank you.
stuff in the show notes.
And
Thanks so
thank you
much
for
for
asking
joining
me.
me
This has been
today,
so much
Christina.
fun.
On
Thank
Cool.
you.
We'll see you next time on Fine
Bye
is a
bye.
Four-Letter Word.